All right, before I get into my watch list video, I'm gonna use this video as a plea for help. This is a picture of my standing desk, my 6 monitors, my computer. You can't see below, but there's a one of those matching desk treadmills, which I absolutely love walking on the treadmill, which I'm actually doing right now. I love walking on a treadmill while I'm working. Sometimes I get tired and I just stand, and sometimes I sit. So it's a great setup because whenever you're uncomfortable, you can switch it around. But you can literally walk for 4 hours without realizing, especially if you're trading, because you get so caught up in what you're doing. Next thing you know, you've logged 6-7 miles or something. So my problem is, and this is my appeal to anyone who's ever had this happen, which I literally can't even find it on a Google search, but my screens are going at random times, and only when I'm on the treadmill, are going black. Like one of those monitors, and it's pretty random, will just go black, and then it'll come back on. And I'll hear a little click in my speakers oftentimes when it's getting ready to happen. I have taken an extension cord and run it across the house, so I'm on a completely different circuit for the treadmill, and it still happens. So it's got to be like some sort of electronic interference coming from the motor itself of the treadmill, is my only guess. I've already, before I figured that out, I already replaced video card in my computer and the power supply. So, I've got new video cards and power supply, but didn't help at all. So if anyone has ever experienced this and you have an answer, please email me, because I can't stand not being able to use a treadmill while I'm trading. But it's just like right now, and a lot of times in the evening, I feel like everything's fine. It doesn't happen. Which is even stranger. I just don't, I'm not running everything that I usually run because I'm not trading, but I still have a lot of things running, and it so far the last 2 evenings hasn't happened at all. Okay, but anyway, enough of that. Let me go into the watch list. First, the SPY. If you've been frustrated this week, it hasn't been easy. Okay, this candle here was Monday, very narrow range. Remember, this is the week after Easter, so it's pretty dead. Then you had a pretty nice move one day, but then and then look at these last 2 days. Very narrow ranges, closing pretty close to where it opened, slightly below. So it's done that 1, 2, 3 out of the 4 days. It's just had very narrow ranges and end up closing slightly below its open. All right, so not a lot of range except for a few sessions ago. Having said that, we've had some pretty nice trades, but it's definitely pretty dead out there. So what I'm going to have on watch, and I don't have very many, and I actually feel kind of silly having GNCA on watch because it made such a huge move. But you know what? We can get a gap down, a red to green, or a pullback to an area that we look for. So, with that kind of move that it made, got to have that on watch. And that's just not for tomorrow. That'll be all next week. GBSN, which you can't even tell here. I think it did a reverse split. Okay, so it's not that compelling when you look at it this way, right? But because of the reverse split, if you go to 5-minute candles, let me pan out a little bit here. Now this chart's kind of messed up because it makes it look like a gap up. So I'm trying to scoot it over a little bit. Okay, so the low was down here somewhere. But it had this huge move from the mid to low 4s all the way up to 770. And then worked its way back up throughout the day, all the way back up to 701. So percentage-wise, just made huge moves. So that's another one. Again, this chart isn't very telling on the move that it made today, but because of the reverse split, made a huge percentage move. So I just want to watch that one again tomorrow. TMST, I still like this one. Let me pan out a little bit so you can see it better. Not a lot of things showing up on my scans as far as potential trades. So just a dead week, but I still like TMST over this 2-day high. So somewhere around 944. I would prefer the other steels to be moving with it. Also lumber liquidators, LL, after this big move, came back down and literally straight sideways for about a week now. Today's high was 1329. By the way, I had said if this gets up around the high 1320s, I liked it today. But that's why I say everything depends on how it trades on an intraday basis. If you watch my videos, I say that a lot. Doesn't mean I'm going to take it in the high 1320s. Now, why wasn't I interested in it when it got up to the high 1320s? Let me pan out a little bit and I'll show you why. Okay, so this is definitely an area of resistance, right? I mean, from here, sold off, again, again. And then so from today, it came, it made a huge move. Huge isn't the right word. It made a pretty sizable move to get up to an area of resistance again. That is not the scenario with which I would go long, okay? And if anything, I'd be thinking short there. So when you watch a video and I talk about a price that's interesting to me, it absolutely depends on how it trades that, the following day. So, now if it can stay above 13, maybe in the 13 teens for the first hour tomorrow and then get up to the 1330s, it's more interesting and it might start heading back up. And the more I go into this list, the less I realize that I like any. I mean, it's not that I don't like them, but I'm not very excited. Usually I have one or two that I'm excited about, this is not a great list. But that doesn't matter because hopefully we'll find some gappers in the morning or some intraday sell-offs to fade, that sort of thing. But CPXX is my final one, and it gapped up today. And then I'll show you what it did. Didn't do much of anything, right? Gapped up and never took out its early high. It looked like it was going to a couple times here. Then it comes down, takes out the low of the day, and by the end of the day, it worked its way back up again. So it's definitely interesting up over 1110 tomorrow. Again, depending on how it trades and how the market trades. And a couple others worth noting. Let me go back real quick. GNCA. I'm talking about. I kind of did a little bit of a lesson in the room today because I had typed out when GNCA looked like this. Now, one of our members, Jane, saw this volume spike and actually got in at like 511 or something like that and announced to the room, hey, GNCA is getting volume. Also, the news squawks were spouting that they had news. So you could have just kind of grabbed it anywhere in here. I never did get this one, but when it looked like this, I actually said, I started to type out over 560, this one could rip through the high of the day, something like that, right? And by the time I got done typing it and sent it to the room, it was already doing what I had typed. And you can see what happened ever since then. So one of my members said, well, isn't that extended to be taking it all the way up here? And I said, normally that's the way you should be thinking because it had just moved from 5 all the way to 560, in about 30, 35, 40 minutes, something like that. However, why was this interesting over 560 to me? Because it had that gap up. Sellers won, hands down. Sellers just won the early battle and then straight sideways all day. But news comes out. Okay, so now everyone who's short, let me scroll that over again. Everyone who's short starts to maybe get a little nervous. Then it comes up and sellers come back in and start to knock it down. Then it goes up and takes out the highs of the original spike. But look to the left. Still have a high of day. We still have not broken to new highs since the open, right? So that's why it's compelling to me. Sellers didn't knock it down very well here, right back up. And now if it breaks this little flag over 560, look to the left. You've just got the high of day is 565, okay? So if the bulls win this battle over 560, you're probably going to light up the new highs ticker and shorts are going to have to start covering, right? And that's exactly what happened. And it just went crazy from there. So I just wanted to, I thought I would use that in my video to kind of explain, because one of my members said, well, isn't it extended? Why would you call it all the way up here? The only reason is because the high of day is just to the left after the gap up. And it had never visited or even come close to the high, right? All morning or all day till that news came out. Then you flag right below the high. I call that another catalyst just above, right? So anytime you can get a little flag break and you look to the left, and within a few pennies you've got another catalyst, those are my favorite setups. So anyway, the GNCA, crazy move. It goes back on watch for tomorrow. And then I have a couple other stocks, not necessarily for tomorrow, but keep these on watch all next week. Tomorrow's Friday, so next week you should have all these on your radar. That GNCA, GBSN, this DRWI, it's extended right now, but I'd like to see that come in a couple days. Could be a nice trade next week. LEU, I'd like to see that come in a little bit again. Nice reversal today. This can get back down and maybe retest this 4 breakout area. It'll be interesting to watch for a turn back up. And lastly, ARGS. This thing made a really nice move from 5 to 850. Giving back a lot of it today. Again, if we get down near this $6 area, which is the recent high here and here, so that's kind of the breakout area. We'll get down around that $6 area, maybe a flush below 6. Keep your eyes on that for a turn back up. All right. We'll be adding gappers in the morning as well. So I will leave it at that, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow.